Antarctica, as we know it, is a near inhospitable place. It's cold, unforgiving, and near void of plant life. However, this hasn't always been the case. At the time of the early Jurassic, Antarctica was a land of thriving green plant life and even home to some dinosaurs. With the area's modern climate, paleontological study is difficult and pretty limited. Even still, a handful of different fossils have been found, with one in particular being especially remarkable. One of the largest theropods of the early Jurassic, Cryolophosaurus, was discovered in 1991 in the Hansen Formation by a team of researchers led by Dr. William Hammer, accompanied by Ohio State University geologist David Elliott, whom the dinosaur was eventually named after. To find when Cryolophosaurus lived, we need to go back 186 million years to the early Jurassic period, when Antarctica would have been much more temperate in climate and even had thriving coastlines. Here we would find Cryolophosaurus, one of the largest theropods of its time, estimated to have been between 6 to 7 meters long, with a weight of about 350 to 465 kilograms, or 772 to 1,025 pounds. One of the biggest issues with this dinosaur was the difficulty scientists had in its classification. Some of its features are considered primitive, such as the femurs, which resemble those of early theropods. The skull of the creature, however, carries a resemblance to later theropods, such as the Yangtzeanosaurus, leading to the dinosaur's placement in Allosauridae, meaning it would have been in the same superfamily as Allosaurids and Carcharodontosaurids. Hammer originally believed Cryolophosaurus to be a ceratosaur or possibly an early abelisaur. The crest on its head led many to suspect a relationship with Dilophosaurus and its family. However, in 2012, a study by Matthew Carano determined that Cryolophosaurus was a tetanurans unrelated to Dilophosaurus. Speaking of the crest, why don't we dive a little bit deeper into why it was so special? Cryolophosaurus possessed incredibly unique head ornamentation. It ran horizontally just over the eyes compared to the other crests found on dinosaurs such as Monolophosaurus or Dilophosaurus. This peculiar crest earned Cryolophosaurus the nickname Elvosaurus because of its resemblance to the star's pompadour haircut. The exact purpose of this crest is still debated among researchers, but it's believed to have primarily been used as a form of sexual display. It is also hypothesized that the crest could have been used as a way to intimidate both members of its own species and potential predators. Considering what we know of Antarctica today, it's really difficult to imagine a lush coastland with plenty of lush vegetation and a completely different ecosystem than what we're used to. This does bring up the question, what would Cryolophosaurus have eaten while it was alive? Well, when Hammer first discovered Cryolophosaurus, he found the ribs of what he believed to be a prosauropod around the mouth and throat of the dinosaur. This led him to believe that it may have been eating one when it died and could have even choked to death on the ribs. It was later determined that the ribs actually belonged to Cryolophosaurus itself. There was, however, the tooth of a tritylodont found in the stomach contents of the fossil, suggesting it fed on one of the small synapsids. There is also some evidence that point towards scavenging. Broken teeth from a juvenile Cryolophosaurus were found near the initial fossil. These teeth don't have any roots, meaning they were likely not lost naturally while it scavenged from the adult carcass. So how do we know Cryolophosaurus lived in an area with dense forest or a beautiful coastline compared to what we have in Antarctica today as what seems to be just a sheet of ice to most people? Well, in the Hansen Formation, where every one of Cryolophosaurus' fossils have been discovered, there was also other things, most notably plant life. This fossilized plant life further leads to the theory that along the coastlines, at least when Antarctica was closer to the equator, there existed these dense forests and this lush vegetation that would have nourished an ecosystem completely different to the way we know it today. Also found near the Hansen Formation, remains from a sauropodomorph named Glacialosaurus have been found, as well as a pterosaur, tritylodonts, an herbivorous synapsid, and two currently unnamed sauropodomorphs. This goes to show that the area around the Hansen Formation, and at least what might have been coastal Antarctica 186 million years ago, was much more diverse and completely opposite what we actually have on the continent today. The thought of Antarctica being such a completely different continent than what we have today is just one of the many, many fascinating things about prehistoric Earth and its related fields of study. These subjects have garnered the attention of countless brilliant minds and have spread this fascination to adults and children alike. My goal is to bring this fascination and this wonderful world of study to brand new groups of people. maybe people who have already been studying this kind of thing for a long time, or maybe those who have never bothered to look into anything paleo related in the past, but have decided to pick up an interest in it. My goal is to share my passion for these fields of study with everyone. If you learned something here today that you think is interesting and that you value, you'd probably like one of my other videos on a similar topic, which I'll link just above. And if you decide I'm someone who you believe you'd like to hear more from, I'd love to have you along for the ride, and I'd love to have you with me as I discover new things every day myself. Thank you for watching.